how's it going? It's Chad Kelhagen. In this video, I'd like to discuss a ridiculously good deal I found on an acoustic guitar online. This was back in March of this year, so I've had this guitar for quite a few months now, and I have actually made a good amount of YouTube cover song videos with this guitar already, but I don't know if anybody paid attention or not, but the name on the headstock is not something that you've probably seen before. The brand is Eleca, and there's a reason you've never heard of it, and that's because it's super generic. I only bought it because we had moved down to Tennessee a while back, and one of the few things I did not have room for was my good acoustic guitar when we were moving, so I just kind of kept it up here at my parents' house in Wisconsin. So when we were down there, I needed a guitar for open mics, YouTube covers, and so on. So I looked online, I went to Amazon, and I caught this just stupidly cheap sale on this guitar, and I was like, you know what, I gotta go for it. I've got to see what this thing is all about. So obviously it's made in China. What I found kind of interesting about it, though, was the surprising lack of information online. So I had to really scour the internet to find out what I found out about this guitar. So combined with the fact that I've been playing it for several months now, I'm going to share the specs. I'm going to share my experience, what I like, what I dislike about it, and also what I did to slightly modify it to just make it play a little better. So, first of all, this is a Eleca guitar. What in the hell is my cat doing? Hold up. What are you doing? It's like a dark blue guitar. The lighting in here is absolutely terrible. Hopefully you can tell a little bit better. It's like a light blue, and I'll actually put the Amazon link in the description so you can look at it a little closer, get some better pictures of it. And no, I'm not sharing it as like this affiliate thing, so I'm like getting a kickback for you going and looking at it. Man, I don't give a damn if you click the link, and I don't care if you buy one of these. I'm just sharing my experience. So the model is DAG-8CEQ-BLS. Let's see here. It's a mini jumbo body style. One thing that really appealed to me right off the bat is that it reminds me of the Takamine NEX mini jumbo body style. My wife has a NEX mini jumbo. I've got a full-size jumbo. So I really like this style. I always have to have a cutaway on my acoustics, and I just really like the NEX type of style. So that's pretty cool. I was able to get it for next to nothing. Let's see here. And I'll talk about the retail price, the typical selling price, how much I actually paid for it. But let me get through the specs first, because I think you're going to be kind of surprised how little I paid for this. So Blue Burst, it's got a filmed flame maple top. They worded it as filmed. I would probably just call it laminate. I'm not sure why they worded it that way. Now, and let's correct me if I'm wrong, if filmed and laminate are two different things, but as far as I know, it's the same thing. It's got EQ7545 preamp, which just takes your typical 9-volt battery right there. Hopefully you can see it. And this is very basic, no tuner built in. It's just got a volume knob, 3-band EQ, bass, mid, treble, and then it's also got a presence adjustment as well. Works fine. I mean, it's nothing exceptional, but at the same time, I mean, it does what it's supposed to do. It's got the piezo under saddle pickup, which is, you know, standard. It's got a maple neck with a 2-piece scarf joint headstock separation. And let's see here, 22 nickel frets. It's got mother of pearl rosette, which it's got like a white binding around here, but then the mother of pearl is also, hopefully you can see it around there, around the sound hole. And then there's also some mother of pearl in the logo on the headstock. I apologize once again for the just horrendous lighting in here. But the mother of pearl is actually very well done. I'm pretty impressed with that. It's got some diamond inlays, which are not super great. They get the job done, especially from farther away. So as long as you're not right up on it, looking at those, they're really not so bad. Rosewood fretboard and bridge, die cast sealed chrome tuners on the back of the headstock there, just generic, unbranded. It appears to have been first available on Amazon in June of 2015, so this might have not been out for that long before I bought it earlier this year. But I mean, who knows with that type of thing. The only thing I'm not totally sure about, and I'll explain later how and why I came to the conclusion I did as far as what type of wood the guitar is made out of. I think it might be made of sapele wood. Front, back, and sides, I think. I really don't know, though, for sure. But we'll circle back to that later. Msrp appears to be around $210. However, it seems to typically sell for around $115 full price on Amazon. At least since I've been watching it anyway. Maybe it started more than that. I have no idea. Doesn't really matter. Now, I happen to have caught mine on just a stupid sale, including tax and shipping was included, so free shipping. I paid like $50, like 49 something for this thing. So I was like, dude, I've got to try it for that price. That's just stupid. I almost bought two of them, but I'm glad I just bought the one. That would have been dumb. So it's strange because I scoured the internet. I found a listing on, it was either like Alibaba or like AliExpress, whatever, one of those Chinese order straight from the manufacturer websites, and I found this guitar on there, and even on there it does not list what kind of wood this guitar is made out of. So I don't know, and obviously Amazon doesn't list it. The manufacturer's website does not list it, which isn't a surprise because, they don't make them themselves. So if they weren't told what it's made out of, how are they supposed to know? But I was able to find a manufacturer called Indiana Guitars. They make a line called Madison. So the Indiana Guitars Madison line of guitars, they even come in the same colors as these Eleca guitars. And now I don't know if they still are currently being sold. I do believe I think they're still on Amazon as well. But anyway, those guitars look very, very similar to the Eleca guitars. There's a few different changes. One interesting change is that, for example, this Eleca guitar says that it has a quilted top. All three of the colors comes in red, blue, and green. All three of them say it's a quilted top. It's actually a flame maple top, which, God, I'm sure in this lighting you can't even see it. But and I've got to say, by the way, It actually looks better in person than it does in the picture, in my opinion. So the film, laminate, whatever you want to call it, job that they did on the top actually looks pretty good. Indiana Guitars actually does come with a quilt top. So they say that they're quilted, they actually are. So that's kind of interesting. Another thing, the Indiana Madison guitars have a bit more of a pronounced burst design, which would be that black part going around the edge on the outside of the blue towards the binding. And, and this does have, it is a burst pattern, but the Indiana guitars just seem to be a little more pronounced. Also, the Indiana guitars have more of an ornate, fancier shaped headstock, which, I don't care about that, but I just found it interesting. And also the inlays, from the pictures I've seen, the Indiana guitars tend to have better looking inlays. So that leads me to believe that it's more than likely that both the Eleca guitars and the Indiana Madison guitars were probably both manufactured in the same Chinese factory, which would not be much of a stretch because several known big-name guitar makers will share Chinese factories that manufacture guitars, and a big difference is obviously the design of the guitars, but also each manufacturer has certain quality control specs that they hold the factory to. So, not to talk shit about Eleca or anything, but I would have to make an educated guess that Indiana Guitars probably has a slightly higher standard for quality control than Eleca does. Now, we're talking only a $30, $35 around there difference between Eleca and Indiana, so you can imagine how not that much higher their quality standard probably is. But either way, I just found that kind of interesting. So, let's see here. And, if memory serves correct, I think the Indiana guitars might have been made out of the Sapele. I believe, I don't know. I've done so much research and it's just been kind of sitting around all gathered on this notepad here on my computer for so long. I don't know, but I have a feeling between what the tone actually sounds like and how it looks and feels and so on, and what I read about the Indiana guitars. If I had to guess, probably Sapele, but don't hold me to that because I don't know. I'm not a luthier, I have no idea. So, moving on. What I liked about this guitar, it's a surprisingly decent guitar, and especially, God, I paid $50, so my standards were set pretty low. I was just like, this is going to be just a pile of crap. But you know what? It really isn't too bad. Let's see here. The tone is actually very good. When I first strummed it right out of the box, I tuned it up. The cheap strings, already I could tell, I was like, wow, this guitar has some nice character to it. So that was really nice. I did not expect that. It definitely has low tones, which a lot of these cheaper guitars, there's like little to no low end. This has really got some low end. And projection, man, like this guitar projects almost too much. Like that was part of why, another reason why I was like, you know what, when I'm not plugged in and I'm just singing and playing, I like the thought of being able to very easily with my voice overpower my guitar. It's fairly thin. I was like, no sweat. Well, this thing, and it's a nice problem to have. I'd rather it project too much than not project at all. I was hoping for middle of the road, but that's fine. So, still a good problem to have. I mean, I'm really impressed. Now, all acoustic guitars I'm going to mention. I mean, to me it's obvious, but I'm just going to throw it out there for maybe people it's not obvious. All acoustic guitars are a little bit different. I mean, you could get one of these and it could sound like total ass, and you might have no low end at all. That's just kind of how it is. And not only that, because they're not saying what kind of wood they're using, they might literally be making different lots with different wood. Like, this is definitely not a plywood bullshit, whatever wood was just laying around. Like, they used some good wood on this. Like, I know you're like, there's no way they did, and you don't believe me, and I don't care if you believe me. I believe me because I'm holding it in my hand and I've been playing it and it sounds awesome. I put a set of elixirs on here, which is what I typically do on my acoustics anyway, and that just enhanced it even more. So these are not still the stock strings on here now. There were no sharp edges on the frets, which I couldn't believe. I figured they'd be cutting the hell out of my hands. I didn't have to file anything. So that was nice. Let's see here. I already mentioned that I was really pleased with the quality of the mother of pearl all over the guitar. The flame maple, once again, I really like how that looks. I mean, I know it's fake, but I mean, you can buy a guitar for hundreds of dollars and still have a fake, but very well done, tastefully done top. So not a big deal. I think it looks great, and I don't give a damn that it's not real flame maple. Who cares? The tuners are surprisingly good. I mean, these damn tuners, you tune your guitar up and it stays in tune. And I've got to say that also, you've got the nut to thank for that because it's slotted very well. Now, I highly doubt they did anything to the nut. I think they just kind of got lucky. They threw it in there, set it in place, you know, pulled the strings through it, and that was that. But regardless, slotted very well. Let's see. There was a little bit of string buzz on some of the lower frets when I first pulled it out. Not a big deal, very minor. Truss rod adjustment, took care of it right away. Did not come with an Allen wrench, but I mean, dude, I've got a huge pile of those, so it's like, who cares? Some people might not appreciate that, though. If you don't have a big pile of Allen wrenches sitting around, I can't say for sure that they all don't come with one, but mine did not, so there's that. Okay, now on to what I didn't like. There's definitely some interesting stuff going on, which didn't surprise me at all. It's fine. Let's see here. And I swapped out the bridge pins, but these are still, I swapped plastic for plastic. I had a set of Takamine bridge pins from a different guitar that I don't have anymore, but I had swapped those out for, I'd kind of upgraded those bridge pins. So these were sitting around, I just threw these in here. I mean, plastic for plastic, I'm not going to assume that really had any positive effect. I just like how these looked a little better. The saddle was too narrow here in the bridge. So it played all right-ish, but I noticed that it was kind of leaning forward in the bridge, which is definitely a no-no. You don't want to just leave it like that. You don't want to worry about having any damage, cracking or stress fractures, whatever, to happening to your bridge as a result of that. So I was a cheapskate. I did not, I only paid $50 for the bridge, so I was like, man, I could buy a new saddle for a few bucks and, find one that's oversized and sand it all perfect. But I was like, you know what? No, I refuse to put any more money into this. So I actually literally just shoved. So I folded a very thin piece of paper. I think I ended up with 2 little pieces that I just kind of shoved in there. And it took some doing, man. I really had to try a few times to get it just right. When I got that shit wedged in there, that thing isn't going anywhere. I mean, I can't even pull it out by hand. It's in there so tight, I'd have to take like a needle nose and yank it out. But, so that fixed that problem. And I mean, it took a little bit of doing to get that done, but at the same time, I mean, it was something that I was able to just do real quick with shit I had laying around. So that was good. Oh, and then when I had the saddle out, I sanded it down considerably because it was pretty high. But I mean, you just literally take a piece of sandpaper and sand it, put it in. Okay, how is it? Okay, sand it, put it back. See how it's sitting. I just want my action a little bit lower. Okay, but that's not a surprise because once again, you can't expect a professional setup from a guitar sent from China. So I mean, not a big deal. If you want a guitar professionally set up, you better pay hundreds more. So, let's see here. Oh, and I mean, admittedly, it was kind of fun to experiment and just kind of, okay, let's see. Okay, let me shove some paper in there. Let me sand this down. It was actually kind of fun to have a project. 'Cause it was like if I would have paid a lot more for this guitar, I wouldn't have felt comfortable messing around with everything. But I paid so little for this. It's like, you know what? If I mess anything up, I'll throw the damn thing away. I don't care. But I didn't. So that, and now I feel a little bit more of a connection to the guitar because we've been through some shit and I've done work on it myself. And that was just kind of a fun experience. So if I would have paid like $600 for this guitar, maybe I would have felt comfortable filing the bridge down a little bit. It's just a stock plastic bridge. But if it was like a bone bridge or something, I wouldn't have wanted to mess with it too much. But whatever. Back to the inlays. The inlays appear to be hand painted, so they kind of vary from one to the other as far as how good they look. And once again, I'll try to hold it up so you can see them. I'm sure you really can't see them that well, but not that they look that bad, and especially from farther away. Like, nobody's gonna come up to your guitar and be like, "Hey, well, look at your inlays." So I mean, not really a big deal, honestly. My biggest gripe with this, and this is not just me being picky, this was kind of a big deal. Structurally, this doesn't affect anything. It just kind of made it look like crap. And so I was like, wow, brand new guitar, and I'm seriously looking at this. But I was like, you know what? $50, fine. And there's no way you'll be able to see it in this light. But in here, what had happened is there was some, I don't think you can see it, there was some chipping and cracking of the paint. And it also had happened down here in the white binding as well. And once again, I'm sure you can't see it, but I'll attempt to. What I think had happened, in my opinion, I think they threw it together before it had proper time to kind of adjust to temperature and humidity changes, and I think it just kind of settled and separated the paint a bit. Now, I literally just took a dark blue Sharpie with a fine tip, and I was like, nah, and whatever. So it's not perfect, but from farther away, nobody's even going to see that shit. This part's up facing me anyway. But even closer, I mean, unless you know to look for it, really not going to notice it. Now, if I would have paid the full $115, I would have been a little more pissy about that. But once again, I mean, considering this has got a preamp in it, it's an acoustic electric. I mean, even for $115, that's dirt cheap, So you got to know going into something like this, you're taking a chance. But honestly, this doesn't affect anything. The neck isn't going anywhere. It's not going to fall off. So structurally, totally sound. But yeah, no big deal. So yeah, I was pretty bummed out about that. But what are you going to do? That's all right. Okay, let's see here. Now, I noticed there were reviews, I think it might have been for either one of these in a different color, or it might have been for the Indiana guitars, but since that's virtually the same preamp, I mean, this is an EQ7545. The Indiana Madison guitars is an EQ7545R. And honestly, from what I can tell, they both appear to be the same preamp. I have no idea what the R means, but they may as well both be the same preamp. Both have the same controls, look identical, same size and shape. So can't remember which review I saw it in, but a few people were like, man, you know, this preamp doesn't work, what the hell? Well, it comes with a battery, and it's wrapped in a very, very thin, perfectly clear plastic. So as you can imagine, if you look at that battery, see it's in there, see it's already installed, and you don't think to remove that plastic, you might be like, well, damn, there's a battery in here and it still doesn't work. Well, take the plastic off. Problem solved. You know, you take the plastic off, works fine. So, that's that. And that's not a complaint. I mean, that's just, hey, you know, make sure you don't forget this really basic thing, because admittedly that plastic was very clear, very see-through, and I can see how somebody just in a hurry, not looking that close, might make that mistake. But I guess that's all I really have to say about it. Do I consider this a good deal? Honestly, yes. Now, yeah, I only paid $50, so that's a no-brainer. Hella good deal for $50. Is this a good deal for $115? Honestly, I'd still say yes. Go ahead and try to find another acoustic electric for $115, and especially one that sounds this damn good. Good luck to you. Would I buy it again? Even though I had to mess with the saddle, and I was a little unimpressed with the settling and everything, with the paint blemishes. Yeah, I think I would. I mean, what can I say? I'm impressed by this thing. I mean, is it my favorite acoustic guitar? Hell no. I mean, I've got a Takamine that costs hundreds more than this, that obviously I like better, but I like that I can just throw this around, I could drop it, whatever, somebody could steal it. Why they would steal it, I don't know, but they could, and I wouldn't cry about it. But at the same time, I'd be like, oh damn, no more Eleca, you know? I mean, yeah, I'd be bummed out for maybe like a half hour, and then I'd probably get over it pretty quick, but you know, yeah. So I hope this helped. I assume if you're watching this video, you're either just a subscriber to my channel and you're really bored right now, or maybe you're somebody who is considering buying one of these guitars. Either way, I hope you found this video interesting, found it helpful, and yeah, if you're interested in a very cheap guitar that actually is not a total piece of shit, take a chance on one of these Elecas. You know, you might be surprised. If you don't feel comfortable doing a little bit of work on it, just take it to have it set up. I mean, guitar setups really don't cost that much, and even if you have the same problem as I do, and you need to either replace the saddle or just wedge something in there, I mean, I still think this is a buy for sure. And you know, and I'm sure some tone junkie would be like, you know what, man, you know, you put that paper in there, that's gonna affect your resonance and your tone, bro. Well, guess what? It still sounds awesome, and it didn't. So no. It's fine, don't worry about it. Okay. Thanks for watching this video. Keep an eye on my channel. I will be posting more videos playing this guitar, and we'll see you in the next one.